And we're back. The saga continues. Gaming Discovery. And by the way, I'm glad you're here. I want to say that to you, Gaming Discovery. See, that's what this channel is all about. We're talking exclusively about hair loss on this channel. Ultimately, all I really do is keep the conversation going based on the comments that are left. Do you think that oh, what am I going to do with videos today about hair loss? Because I've already got, 2,600 videos on this channel about hair loss. What else can I do? I don't do that. I ultimately, when I see comments come through, I'm like, okay, which ones would be good videos? That's for the most part how I get some of the best videos is from people leaving comments. So let's check this out. In a video I made called If Hair Loss Could Be Cured with a Magic Pill, Would You Take It? And by the way, that video was in response to Gaming Discovery. He now left this new comment on this video. Quote, "Hey Nick, thanks for the video response. Very insightful. It's hard to believe that you don't care at all about hair loss. Let me rephrase the question. Was overcoming balding a process for you? Have you accepted it only lately, or have you always been in terms with it? It's very hard to believe that the first time you recognized signs of male pattern baldness, you were simply embracing it instead of thinking, oh, this sucks," end quote. So if you've been watching my channel for years, I've already answered this question many times, but I recognize that only, a year and a half, I had only 1,000 subscribers, and now I'm pushing 6,000. So I need to basically continue to do modern updates on things I've already said and basically build on top of those, and that's what this video is about. So to specifically answer this question, I want to be sure I get it. Was overcoming balding a process for you? Have you accepted it only lately, or have you always been in terms with it? It's hard to believe that the first time you recognized signs of male pattern baldness, you were simply embracing it. So let's talk more about that. We have to start from the beginning, and the beginning is I always knew, or at least assumed, I would be bald or noticeably balding like Norwood 4 by age 33. That was what I always told myself. So even as a kid, I knew that, because I looked at the men in my family and thought, you know what? There's a good chance I'm going to be like them. I'm not going to be completely bald, but I'll be noticeably balding by the time I'm 33. That would seem like the date. Like, okay, you got to your 33rd birthday, then pretty much by that point you've got the noticeable, obviously receding hairline, which I'm, by the way, not quite there yet. Just so I always assumed that. So it was never a shock to me when I saw signs of hair loss. I'm like, nope, this is what I always expected. So when I was 20, I noticed my hairline going up. That's when I was forming more of the Norwood 2. And by the time I hit 30, I had enough diffuse thinning to really help accentuate, okay, this is more of the balding process that I've always expected. But that was at 30, my 30th birthday. It's now 7.5 years later, and I've still got this much hair, which I never imagined I'd have this much hair. So imagine, since as a boy, I always knew that I'd be a balding guy like most men, well, at least on my dad's side of the family. I never thought, oh, I hope I'm like the men on my mom's side of the family, because they're all 60 and have Norwood 1s, or not even that. That's the Mexican side of the family, by the way. But on my dad's side, all the men were balding, and that's just how it was. And it wasn't a big deal to me, because I accepted it as a fate, as my fate, that long ago. So it's not something I was like, oh no, I just knew it would happen. So I want to continue to make sure I get all this right here. I want to answer this question as specifically as I can. So to answer the question, yes, I've always been to terms with it. I've always expected it. So it's very hard to believe that the first time you recognize signs of male pattern baldness, you were simply embracing it. So I will say that, I mean, yeah, when I was in college, age 20, when I first noticed the Norwood 2 kicking in, I didn't freak out though. I told my roommate, Jamie, I said, you know what? Once I'm in my 30s and I'm balding, I'm gonna get a hair transplant. I wanna be the guy that's married, has 2 kids, and lives in a nice house in the suburbs, but gets a hair transplant. I don't wanna be just another balding guy. That's what I told him at age 20. But that's how I felt at age 20, and that's how I felt before the YouTube even existed. I didn't have access to a person like me to remind you of what actually matters, that men are not judged on their hair, they judge themselves on that. Men are judged on being skilled, on being funny, on being helpful, on being confident, on controlling their own emotions. I've made so many videos about the things we're actually judged on and valued on. And I didn't have anybody when I was 20 to tell me those things. I'm creating this for people who are in their youth so that they can have an advantage that I couldn't have and a lot of people couldn't have if it weren't for my videos. My videos are popular for a reason. People trash my videos all day long. Hardly ever will you see a video that someone isn't completely trashing, saying it's boring, saying it's stupid, saying it's pointless, or trashing me, saying that I look ugly, that I look old, that I'm going bald. That's what people do. But despite all of that, people are supporting this channel. They're subscribing, they're watching the videos because I do have a message that's different than most people. Most people, when they talk about hair loss, they want to go tell you that you need to get a hair transplant, take Propecia, take finasteride. They want you to do one of those things. And here's a guy saying, do it if you want to, but I have zero interest in doing it. I do not want to fight my fate. I do not want to fight my own DNA, my masculinity. I do not want to fight it. I want to accept it as I have always been aware that this would be my fate. So imagine if all your life you think that, and then you're like, wow, here I am pushing 40. And yes, I'm married to a beautiful woman. I have 2 wonderful kids. I live in a nice house in the suburbs. I have a good job. Life is great. But ultimately, I still have this much hair. That's the thing that I didn't expect to happen. So imagine being prepared for something negative to happen that doesn't happen as soon as you think it would. I'm like 4.5 years past due in my own arbitrary date that I created in my mind. At age 33, I'd be having just a strong Norwood 3 or Norwood 4, where there was just no way around having the obvious peninsula. That's what I always expected. So there you go. I hope that answers your questions. We can continue to follow up with this if we need to talk more about this. I'm totally cool with that because I want to be real with you and let you know what's going through my mind. And piggybacking off on another comment that someone brought up today, and it comes up from time to time. People say, Nick, it's easy for you to say these things because you didn't aggressively lose your hair when you were our age, when you were in your teens or 20s. And I openly admit that. I completely acknowledge that I'll never be able to relate to you on that level. But as a consolation prize, what I would ask you to do is to challenge yourself to break down the identity protective cognition, which means if you believe something so strongly, anything I say, even if it's true or helpful, you see it as poison, as a lie, and you won't listen to it. I want you to put that aside for a moment and think, you know what? I can accept that even though Nick can't know what I'm going through exactly, what he's saying is true. What he's saying is helpful. And I would rather embrace that than to go my own way, which is to worry my whole life at what point I'm going to go bald. Because if you start worrying about that now, and instead of just acknowledging that you will be the balding guy, if you hold on to that, you're never going to stop. It doesn't matter at what age you are. If it bothers you at 20, it's going to bother you at 37 and a half. It's going to bother you at 65. It's going to bother you. Well, you'll be like, well, I want to be like Stan Lee. He was 95 and he had probably like a Norwood 2.5 like Nick, but if I could be 95. See, that's the insanity of this. You have to be able to let that go so that you can actually hold on, not to your hair, but holding on to your masculinity, your true identity. And I think those are the things that help me. I do feel that in all the obstacles I've overcome in my life, I found a way to make it work, to outsmart the system. If this is a struggle for this many people and they're still having a problem with it, what can I do? Something different. I don't mind being the outsider. What can I do different that might help me find a better solution to the problem? Which is one of the reasons I'm a leading YouTuber about hair loss. And no, I'm not an expert. I'm not a hair loss expert. Never assume that I am. But yet I still find a way to help people. And yes, sometimes I'll do a video, oh yeah, like get your hair cut straight across, and then that way when you put the pomade in it, it'll have a, yeah, I make those videos, and I make the videos like, oh, if you had a full beard by the time you're 16, you're more likely to lose your hair early in life. Yes, I make those videos to help people, but ultimately, for the people who have their ears open to hear, that's what my channel, that's what my passion is all about in making these videos to help people. Thank you for your comments. I'm glad you're here, even if you hate me, because I know how many thumbs down, 9. I got 9 thumbs down on this video. And I embrace that. I embrace the negativity, because what that tells me is a lot of people are insecure and afraid. They don't have the confidence and life experience I have. And it's my job to continue to try to help them despite all the negative that comes through, because I emotionally control those people. If they have enough emotions to give me a thumbs down and a negative comment, it means I emotionally control them, because they can't emotionally control themselves. And that's one of the reasons why I'm successful in life and successful as a YouTuber. I'm Nick Shell. I am glad you're here. I will help you.